Jack had always trusted his GPS. A salesman by profession, he often drove long hours to unfamiliar towns. His navigation system, his only companion on lonely roads. It was a cold November evening when he found himself traveling through the dense woods of upstate New York. The chill seeped through the gaps in his car's poorly sealed windows, and the radio only picked up static. He yawned, eager to get to the small motel where he'd booked a room for the night. The GPS's soothing voice broke the monotony. Turn left in 200 feet. Jack frowned. This wasn't the route he remembered from earlier. His GPS had rerouted him, claiming it had found a faster way. Trusting the machine over his own memory, he obeyed, steering his sedan onto a narrow, gravel road flanked by towering pines. The headlights barely pierced the thick shadows, and the trees seemed to loom closer with every passing mile. As he drove deeper into the forest, a peculiar sense of unease settled over him. The road grew rougher, potholes jarring the car with every bump. He glanced at the GPS. The map showed nothing but an endless stretch of road. No landmarks, no intersections. Just an isolated path snaking into the unknown. Recalculating, the GPS announced abruptly, though no turns were in sight. The screen flickered, static lines dancing across it. Then it returned to normal, displaying the same unending road ahead. Jack sighed. Come on, don't glitch out now. Suddenly the car jolted to a halt. The engine sputtered and died, plunging the road into eerie silence. He turned the key, but the engine refused to start. Frustrated, Jack slammed his palms against the steering wheel. The silence was deafening, broken only by the faint rustle of leaves in the breeze. Then, the GPS lit up. A message appeared on the screen in bold red letters. Leave this place. Jack froze, staring at the screen. What the hell? He muttered. He tapped the screen, thinking it might be some sort of prank or error. The message disappeared, replaced by the standard map view. He tried the engine again, but it only groaned in protest. The GPS flickered once more, and another message appeared. You are not alone. His breath caught in his throat. He looked around, peering into the darkness beyond the windshield. The pines stood still, their shadows stretching across the road like skeletal fingers. Jack's pulse quickened. His rational mind told him it was a malfunction, a bizarre coincidence. But his instincts screamed otherwise. A third message flashed on the GPS. They are watching. Jack's heart pounded as he fumbled for his phone. No signal. Of course. The oppressive isolation pressed down on him, suffocating. He decided to step out and check under the hood, though every fiber of his being urged him to stay inside. The cold air bit at his skin as he opened the door. Gravel crunched under his boots as he rounded the front of the car and popped the hood. The engine appeared fine, but he wasn't a mechanic. His hands trembled as he jiggled a few wires, more out of desperation than knowledge. That's when he heard it. A soft whisper, carried by the wind. Jack. He spun around, scanning the trees. The whisper came again, faint but unmistakable, as if spoken directly into his ear. He stumbled back, slamming the hood shut and retreating to the car. He locked the doors and stared at the GPS screen, now eerily blank. The whisper turned into a low, guttural growl. Shadows shifted at the edge of the headlights, and Jack thought he saw movement, a fleeting glimpse of something pale darting between the trees. His hand shook as he gripped the steering wheel, willing the car to start. The GPS flickered back to life. A new message appeared. Run. At that moment, a loud thud shook the car. Something had landed on the roof. Jack screamed, fumbling with the keys again. A second thud came, this one on the hood. The windshield fogged up as if someone, or something, was breathing against it. Through the fog, a bloody handprint smeared across the glass. Jack bolted. He threw open the door and sprinted into the woods, the underbrush clawing at his legs. He didn't know where he was going. He just knew he had to get away. The growls followed him, echoing unnaturally in the dense forest. After what felt like hours, Jack stumbled onto another road, a paved one. Headlights appeared in the distance, and he waved frantically. collapsing as the car screeched to a halt. A kind elderly couple helped him into their vehicle and drove him to the nearest town. The next day, Jack recounted his story to the local sheriff, who listened with a grim expression. When Jack mentioned the desolate road, the sheriff's face darkened. "That road," the sheriff said, "was closed years ago. It's where a family was found murdered in their car, never solved. People say their spirits still linger, warning others to stay away." Jack's blood ran cold. He never used a GPS again. Years later, Jack had almost managed to put that night behind him. Almost. The memory still lingered in the back of his mind, surfacing in his dreams or in the eerie silence of long drives. He had moved on to using physical maps and well-traveled roads, though his job occasionally forced him to traverse remote areas. But he never ventured near upstate New York again. One gray autumn morning, Jack received a package at his office. The box was unmarked, its brown cardboard exterior unremarkable. Puzzled, he opened it to find a sleek, modern GPS device nestled inside. A typed note accompanied it. "For your safety, trust me this time." Jack's hands shook as he read the message. His first instinct was to throw the device away, but curiosity gnawed at him. It looked like a state-of-the-art model, far better than the outdated one he had used years ago. Against his better judgment, he decided to test it, just once, on his way home that evening. As he drove, he activated the GPS. The interface was smooth, the voice pleasant and familiar. At first, everything seemed normal. It guided him through the bustling city streets and out onto the highway with ease. But as the sun dipped below the horizon, the device spoke again, and Jack's stomach dropped. "Turn left in 200 feet. The voice was identical to the one from years ago. "No," Jack muttered, gripping the wheel tighter. "Not again." Ignoring the instruction, he continued straight. The GPS recalculated, its tone calm but insistent. "Turn left at the next intersection, it's faster." "Shut up," Jack growled, reaching to turn it off. But the screen flickered, and before he could press the button, a message appeared. "You can't escape." Jack slammed on the brakes, pulling onto the shoulder. His heart raced as he stared at the screen. The words vanished, replaced by the map. For a moment he considered tossing the device out the window, but then the voice returned, quieter now, almost pleading. "Please, they're coming." Jack's blood ran cold. The voice wasn't the same flat, emotionless tone he remembered. It was softer, almost human, and filled with fear. "What do you mean?" he whispered, as if expecting an answer. The GPS didn't respond. Instead, the map zoomed out, showing a wide view of the area. A red dot marked his car's location, and several smaller dots were converging on it from different directions. Panic surged through him. He glanced in the rearview mirror, his breath hitching. Far behind him, on the darkened highway, faint lights danced erratically. Too high to be headlights, too close together to be stars. He punched the gas, merging back onto the road. The GPS recalculated instantly, its voice urgent. "Turn right in 1 mile, go. Hurry." Jack didn't question it this time. He followed the instructions, veering onto a narrow, winding road that cut through a dense forest. The headlights illuminated the trees, their gnarled branches clawing at the night sky. The red dots on the GPS screen grew closer. The voice urged him onward, guiding him through sharp turns and sudden descents. Jack's knuckles turned white as he gripped the wheel, his pulse pounding in his ears. "Almost there," the voice whispered. Ahead, a clearing opened up, revealing an old wooden bridge spanning a rushing river. Jack hesitated, but the GPS barked, "Now!" He sped onto the bridge, its planks creaking ominously under the car's weight. As he reached the midpoint, a deafening roar erupted behind him. He glanced in the mirror and saw them, shapes of shadow and light, twisting and writhing like living smoke, their hollow eyes glowing with malice. The bridge shuddered as the entities surged forward, but just as they reached the edge, a blinding light engulfed the scene. Jack cried out, shielding his eyes as the GPS emitted a high-pitched whine. When the light faded, the shadows were gone. The road ahead was empty, and the bridge was silent. Jack pulled over on the far side, his hands shaking uncontrollably. The GPS screen displayed a single message: "Safe for now." The device powered down, its screen going dark. Jack sat there for a long time, staring at the lifeless screen, unsure whether to thank it or curse it. One thing was certain: whatever had haunted him that night years ago hadn't let go. And something, or someone, was still watching over him.